Hello, I'm back. It's Angie, and we are back with another sketch from the Creative Memories blog to complete another page in your scrapbook. Let's switch over and we will take a look at the sketch that we're working with and some adaptations that I'm going to do for this one. So switch over real quick. All right. So this is the sketch we're creating, and I have to admit I don't have pictures. I have pictures for this one, but I could not print them out. I am having problems with my Epson PM 400 talking to my new phone. So that will be a project for after this, but I will admit I only have a select amount of time sometimes to record some videos. So now is a good time, so we're going to go ahead and do this. Sans pictures, but I'm going to put down mats. I do know that for my pictures I am going to have one vertical, but instead of a horizontal here, I am going to have two, basically 3x4s, or I could trim them down a little bit depending on how the space is. So I'll have two 3x4s instead of one horizontal there. I am going to leave a couple of the squares open to put some little photos in, and embellish the other ones. But we will get started. I chose, so basically my pictures are of my littlest one riding a scooter to school. So I was going to use, even though it's a scooter and not a bike, I plan to use this bike border maker cartridge, and that really made me choose the Bright Delight collection because this is what came out with the secret box, so it kind of worked for me. Um, so I grabbed some of my stuff, and I was really interested in some bike embellishments, but I didn't really want this purple one. I am planning on using maybe the camera, and then this as a title in the center instead of a box in the center. I'm going to use this title. And then I did find in my collection a bike from Sunrays for Days that is just over 2 inches. So we're going to use that little blue bike. Again, even though he was on a scooter, it's a blue scooter. He has a blue helmet. That will work just fine. And then I grabbed a whole bunch of scraps. For this one, we are going to use the technique that is also posted. I think I did a YouTube video of it, of how to cut a 12-inch piece of paper in half. If I didn't do a YouTube, it was on my it's in my Facebook group. But we will show you here how to cut a 12 piece of paper diagonally, because we do have to do that. I was fortunate enough, I have one piece of paper. This is from the This Life collection. I have one piece of paper that I'm going to use both sides of. Of course, if you have a piece of paper that maybe you like one side of one sheet of paper and one side of a different sheet of paper, you could cut both of them in half and make it work, or just cut one in half and cover it up. Whatever works for you. I am going to cut this one in half and just mount it onto a piece of paper. Got a whole bunch of scraps for my little squares. And I have to admit, I am usually pretty particular about colors, but I'm going to use blue. Even though it's not one of the coordinating cardstock colors, I just grabbed blue. Honestly, it goes good enough for who it's for. I will say in this secret box there was some coordinating cardstock, and these colors are not ones that my heart usually goes towards, so I believe I sold that paper pack or did it for a prize or something. So there's that. I've got some other, I've got a laser cup order from the Bright Delight. And I'm debating for my corner. They kind of show a little banner here. They show some banners here. So I grabbed my banner, my garland banner punch, which I thought, well, I could do that in this blue. Or I had trimmed down this laser cut border, and I thought, well, maybe I would just do that kind of in front of the suns over to the paper. So I haven't decided. We'll see what that looks like when we get to it. But yeah, let's get started. Let's set some of this stuff aside. Set the instructions over here. We are going to start by cutting this paper in half. And again, off the top of my head, I cannot remember if I posted this video to YouTube or not, but here, you're going to learn it here. If you have a 12-inch piece of paper, it will not fit in the trimmer to be able to cut it corner to corner. So what you're going to do, and you're going to pay attention to if you have a directional piece of paper or not. I do not in this case. It is tonal. I mean, if I wanted to be particular in terms of which way my dots are going, that doesn't really matter though. But I'm going to fold it corner to corner. And just line up my corners. And crease opposite. And I don't need to crease the whole page. I just need to crease it a little bit. And again, make sure my tips are lined up. I just need to feed it into my trimmer. And that flat part is going to line up here on the lip at the bottom. You could do it at the top. I'm doing it at the bottom because it's just closer to me. And then you're going to line up your tip on the cut line. And again, making sure your pieces of paper stay lined up. Make sure everything is lined up. Just shift that over a little bit. And you're really kind of flattening this piece so you can get a bit of a straight edge there to line up. And also because when you put your cut bar down, it's going to squish it anyways. So now that we have that, we can cut. And I can tell mine shifted there a little bit at the end. That's okay. We will make it work. And honestly, my ends are going to be covered up by some stuff anyways. So there is cutting your piece of paper. I'm going to have my brown down at the bottom and my blue up top, I think. We can switch it around if you want to. I am just going to take a piece of white paper that came from a top loading page and adhere this all down. You could just cut a strip of paper and paper weld this together. Just so basically you cut a strip of paper and just put it across here. I'm just going to mat it to the whole insert here. So honestly, I'm just going to put some adhesive on here. I could have done it on the paper too. All right, and again, I'm going to do, I think I want brown in the lower quadrant. Again, I can turn my paper around if I need to. And now I'm just lining up all my sides. And it looks like my white piece of paper might be a little bit bigger than my designer paper. And we can trim that down a little bit. I'm just going to cut a sliver off of off of two sides. And honestly, when you're trying to cut just a little sliver, it tries to shimmy. There's that. I ended up cutting down my designer paper a little bit. It's fine. It's all fine. If you are using just regular pages, when you cut your diagonal triangles, you can just adhere them right onto a page. Not bother with adhering them on a piece of paper or welding at all. And there you go. You have two pieces cut diagonal. So you do end up with a little bit of a crease. That's okay. For this page, we are going to be covering it up anyways. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut my designer papers that they have at the top and bottom. Each one is a 1/2 inch. And I'm kind of sticking with the stripe thing like they did. And I've got a piece of this bright stripe paper to cut at 1/2 inch. And we will just adhere that down. And now that I trim my paper down, I might have to trim a little bit of excess off of these ones. That's okay. We can just flip it over and trim if we need to. I can see just a tiny bit. And I'm going to flip this over so I can see to line it up better. There we go. And again, I've got just a teeniest little edge. I probably could just leave it, but we could also just trim it off. Okay. So far, that's our page. What I need to do is cut my bikes. I need to cut my rolling bikes. And use the border maker system. So if you've never used this before, you're going to pull out the tray at the bottom, lift this magnetic arm up, and feed your paper in. Line it up, put the magnetic arm down, and fold this back under so it's out of the way. So now you just have a free edge piece of paper. I've loaded my cartridge in to the unit, and we are going to line up. And we are lining up a little notch here, which is probably a little bit hard to see since I've got blue on blue, but there's a little notch there. And we're lining it up with the notch here, and underneath the system fits together. So we're lining those up and punch. And this is cardstock, so it's a little bit tougher to punch. But we are just punching and moving along. All right. And then get rid of our punch poop. And had I thought of this, I would have put this on first so that way I could have just covered it up. But I'm just going to trim so I just have a little bit. I don't really want like a huge border of bikes. Sit that on top of my trimmer. I just want enough so that it's there. So I'm at where my lower part of my heel, I'm probably just going to have an 1/8. Again, this is kind of just up to you if you've got laser cut borders, if you're cutting a border punch or a border cartridge. And we will just use some repo tape and put this down. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Not sure what happened there. It's like sticking together. Might have to grab a different one. All right, grab a different one. Except I don't know where I put them. I went to a crop and I don't know that I unpacked them yet. So let's see. We're going to improvise. I'm going to grab my mini tape runner and just go along the edge. So it is good to have a variety of tape runners because you just never know when you're going to need them. I'll have to find my refill cartridges because they are not on my shelf where I normally put them, I should say. All right, so we're lining this up. We're going to put our bikes down. And I'm just buttoning it up to the strip that I already put down. Okay. And again, you can see here, sometimes some of the cardstock is just a little bit shorter than designer paper. That's okay. All right, now let's start cutting some squares. And I was thinking of cheating and using my square punch because these are 2-inch squares. The square punch is 1 3/4. And I was thinking of cheating and just using my punch and adapting, but that one sticker that I want to use is 2 inches. So we will just cut down to the instructions that they have. And thinking of using these 3. So let's just trim these down. So they have a variety of different papers. Again, I'm going to use a title in the center here. So I want basically 2 of each color. Looks like they kind of went in, well, I thought they kind of went in a rainbow, but I guess not. So I need 2 of each color of a 2-inch square. You could do all different colors if that works for you. If you want to kind of showcase more of the variety of papers that come in a collection. And all right, so there's my squares. I am going to use white. They do matte these squares, and in their example, they used white as well. Again, this is just a piece of the cardstock from the inside of the top loading pages. If you order the top loading pages, they come with white in them. Sometimes they randomly will announce that they have a different color in them for whatever reason. But it is great to have the extra white cardstock. All right, and just make sure that that's 2 inches. Yes. Oh, except I just cut those down to 2 inches. Good thing we have plenty of these white papers because this is supposed to be 2 1/8. So just a little bit bigger than 2 inches. So you have just a smidge of border around those squares. And I will need 2 strips. It's 2 1/8. Don't mind if you can hear my dog walking around. The mic is so sensitive that you can hear the dog's claws pitter-pattering. It's 4. 5, and we need 1 more. All right, so now let's adhere these squares together. And actually, I was going to be using some pictures for some. This might be like a double mat when I actually put the pictures down. Without having the pictures, it's hard to tell. But I could do a 1 7/8 photo and basically then just have a double mat for it. Or if you want your photo to be bigger, you can just replace one of these squares completely. If you're doing that route, if you're cutting a title from a mat. All right. And I hadn't thought about what order I'm going to put the colors in. But I love that they have these squares kind of along here, and it just kind of covers up the seam. So let's just kind of getting a thought. And I'm not too much of like a pattern person. So to do then the same order, meh. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Maybe try not to do orange in this. I could do that. Purple on the outside. No, it's still too kind of patterny. How about that? Looks good enough. What's great about making videos sometimes is that I look at my camera to see kind of like what the finished look is looking like on my overhead. I'm just going to move these a little bit, and it's kind of random. And then I was going to put a title on. Let's grab where I shoved that aside to and see kind of the placement of that. That was this foamy sticker. So thinking of that in the center, that's fun, although I'm not sure that I like the orange next to the orange. So I'm going to do that. Now see, I do like that better. So I think we can put these on. I'm going to wait though, and I really like to dry fit everything. So let's cut down my mats, and I'm going to use this blue polka dot paper from the kit for the mats. So again, I have one vertical photo, so it's the mat for that is 4 by 5.5. And I believe this is 5.5 when I looked at it to make sure. Yep, it's 5.5 already. So there's one of my mats. And let's see, I think I'm going to do 2 3x4s. 3x4 mats, and then I will trim my photos down to fit these. And I'm going to kind of switch it a little bit. I want my one tall picture up here of my kid, and then kind of the 2 here, and my title in the center. That will work. So let's start adhering stuff down, and then I will figure out, let's see, I've got to do my title up top, not my title, my border up top. Let's see if I want that to go, I don't want it to go above his picture. This picture might go down a ways. They're showing the border. I need to put this down. The borders go behind the squares. I need to put this down. Almost forgot about this sunshine. And I don't want to cover up all my stripies. But I don't want any of the blue paper showing behind my sun gaps here. So we'll do that. This picture is going to cover that up a little bit. I'm not sure that I'm going to put anything up there with me switching my tall photo. I don't know. It's going to get covered up. If I did a banner, let's cut a banner real quick. It's going right over that blue mat. I'm not sure if I'll love that either. I might just not do that element. Let's cut this. That could work. Although it looks a little strange with the banners going in front of my son. I don't know. We'll leave it aside. Honestly, that will be a when my photos are on the page decision. All right, so let's start gluing these down. I'm going to stick this mat down. And right about there. And then let's do these squares. Had I been more particular, I might have moved my orange away from the sun. Nah, that's fine. And I'm just kind of angling them randomly. And my photo will get tucked under there a little bit. That's all right. Okay, there. Let's add my title. That's good. Now I have this camera sticker and then the bike sticker that I was going to use. I think I'm going to put the two little photos in these ones. Maybe. These are tough decisions, you guys. Let's maybe do a bike up here. And a photo here. And then I will be able to put a photo in one of these. I didn't want it to be so matchy-matchy. So there we go. My photos is just of a sign and a big crowd, so they aren't really like the key photos. It's just kind of fun. So there we go. That is what I'm doing so far. I'm looking at everything on camera, and again, this blue seems very, very bright right now, but they're going to be covered up with the photos, and you're hardly going to see any of the blue, so it's okay. So this is the end of my layout. Um, let's switch over here real quick. All right, so there we go. I don't have pictures for this one printed out yet. I will hopefully get my printer and phone communicating again in the future, and I can print off the photos real quick and be able to post the finished layout as well. All right, so if you give this one a try, I'd love to see yours. Until next time, and until we create again. Thank you.